Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape. In this video, we're reviewing something a little bit different. Actually, it's a lot of bit different. Let's get into the review of the Himiway Pony. Before we get into the review, if you are looking to purchase any Himiway electric vehicle, I guess, or any of the other electric bikes that we cover on the channel, please check out the links in the description. If you use those links before you make your purchase, it's a direct way of supporting the channel and costs you nothing. We'll also have some other resources down in the description, our electric bike accessories list, top e-bike brands page, and of course our electric bike discounts code page, where we track all the deals on the electric bike brands that we follow. With that, let's get into this review of the Himiway Pony. So I know what you're thinking. This thing looks absolutely ridiculous, and I can't disagree with you. When Himiway launched this, I was a bit surprised. Just to give you some context, Himiway has traditionally focused on only fat tire electric bikes. That was until this year, early 2023. They released a couple of different electric bikes, actually a few different electric bikes, one being this, the Himiway Pony. They also released the Rambler, a more city style electric bike, and then they couldn't keep without releasing any new fat tire electric bikes, so they also released the dual battery Rhino electric bike. That is a true fat tire electric bike. So we're starting off with the Himiway Pony, but if you want us to review any of the other models offered by Himiway, let me know specifically which one in the comment section below. We definitely check those out when looking at new electric vehicles to review. If you aren't familiar with our reviews, first we'll do a walk around. I'll talk about all the specs. Then we'll get into some first-person riding footage, tell you about how it rides, what the top speed is, and really I'm going to reserve the final part of this video, the third-person riding footage, for really talking about who this electric thing is for. Now, the first thing to know about the Himiway Pony is that it's not an electric bike at all. It's more of a scooter. There's no gears, there's no chain, there's no pedals, there's just a throttle. And that puts it in kind of a weird class because it looks like a bike, but obviously you can't pedal it. So perhaps you can come up with your own definition of what kind of class this electric vehicle fits in. It's certainly something that's unique on the market. But the reason I decided to review it is, I mean, let's be honest, it looks like something fun to try out. So first, let's talk about price. On their website, they have the original price as $549 for the 36-volt 5-amp-hour battery, and for the 10-amp-hour battery, it's $649. Though right now they have the prices at $499 and $599 respectively, and I wouldn't be surprised if those are just the standard prices that they offer on the Pony. So definitely an affordable electric vehicle. Just to give you some context, the most affordable electric bike that we personally recommend is at $799. You can check out our affordable e-bikes video we recently did on the top right-hand corner of your screen. So this is still quite a bit more affordable than that. Now, not surprisingly, this is meant to be lightweight, 33 pounds on the 5-amp-hour battery variation and 35 pounds if you opt for the 10-amp-hour variation. It has a 240-pound capacity, and just a note that Himiway is stating that they're using Samsung or LG cells. This comes in 5 different colors, and the color you see here is Midnight Forest. One thing that I did appreciate is that it was super easy to assemble. You pretty much have to bolt on the front wheel, and you don't even need to worry about a front disc rotor. We'll get into that. And then you simply have to put in the handlebars, and that was easy as well. You don't need to install the stem plate at all. Of course, one of the other reasons you might be considering the Himiway Pony is the size. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw up the specs from Himiway so you can get an idea of how big this thing is. Spoiler alert, it's not big at all. When you get to the third-person riding footage, you'll see how someone who's 6 feet tall fits on this. Let's start in the front of the Pony. We have CST tires. These are 20 by 2.4 inch. Of course, CST is a brand we see on many electric bikes, and more of a street tread, not surprising there. Rigid front fork. They do have a bolt here, so you could perhaps add some fenders. Not sure if Himiway is going to offer them directly, but it looks like you could attach some fenders. And again, there's no front brake on this bike. You just get a single rear mechanical disc brake. This is a Jack Super Brake. Not a brand I'm familiar with, but I have to say this mechanical disc brake does perform really well. You have 160 millimeter rotors, and I had no problem locking up the brakes and coming to a stop very quickly. Now again, no pedals, so you do get these folding pegs, I guess we'll call them, to put your feet on. And just a note, you do want to be careful if you have larger feet, because you do need to place them a little bit further back so you make sure that your feet don't catch the front tire when you're turning. Jumping back to the rear of the pony, there are 2 bolts on the side of the rear here. I'm not sure if this is intended for a kickstand. I'll check with Himiway on that, but they are on both sides. You can see for now I do have it propped up on a piece of wood. In the rear, we have a 300 watt motor. Definitely on the lower end as far as performance goes, as you'll see in the upcoming first-person riding footage. Let's talk about comfort, at least as it relates to the saddle. And I actually think the saddle is pretty decent, above average in my opinion. Sometimes they leave a lot to be desired. Of course, you could always purchase something aftermarket if you prefer. Check out our electric bike accessories list for suggestions, no matter what electric vehicle you're buying. And I do have this in its highest position, and I'll go ahead and step on the pony so you can get an idea of just how it fits me and how I step over it. It's pretty easy for me to get my leg over the pony, and of course you don't need to worry as much about seat height because you're not pedaling. You don't need to worry about leg extension, but I find the riding height pretty comfortable. Himiway branding nice and large on both sides and pony on the top, as well as the Himiway logo on the head tube. Now the battery is obviously housed in here inside. Unfortunately, it's not easy to remove. Again, it's a 36 volt 5 amp hour or 10 amp hour, depending on the variation you choose. Now there's not a lot of cables, there's no integrated light, but they do have them wrapped and they go into the frame at the bottom. Now to turn the pony on, there's simply a power button on the left here, and it goes green to let you know that it is indeed on. Let's talk briefly about the handlebars. They are adjustable with this quick release. And so you can set these handlebars either further up or closer depending on your height. On the left of the handlebars, we have a basic grip, a bell, as well as a reflector. These are mechanical disc brakes, again unbranded, but feel pretty good, and there are motor cutoffs as well, so as soon as you hit the brakes, it's going to cut power to the 300 watt motor. Moving on to the right side, right hand twist grip throttle, and there is a green light here which indicates that the bike is, yes, indeed on, and I'm pretty sure that will change colors depending on how much battery capacity is left. I'll confirm that as I ride this a little bit more. And that's pretty much it spec-wise on the Himiway pony. I know you want to see me ride this, so let's get into some first-person riding footage. And make sure you stay until the end of the video where you'll get to see how someone who's 6 feet tall fits on the Himiway pony. All right, first-person riding footage. I have the speedometer app by Coolnix to test the GPS speed. Just a note that sometimes where I am, the GPS speed can be a little bit off. The bike is advertised as having a top speed of 16 miles an hour. All right, let's see how this can do in our throttle only test, the only test, of course, that we'll be doing. 1, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 14. And I feel the motor kind of cutting off, so I'm gonna assume that it is getting to that 16 miles an hour. There's 15 coming down the hill a little bit. And on flat ground, when I was riding this around earlier, I did get up to 16 miles per hour. That was kind of the max speed. But right now, at least the GPS is saying I'm going about 14, 15 miles an hour. But as I said, this can be a little bit off sometimes depending on the location. And just feel wise, because that's something when you look at this electric bike, you're probably wondering how it is to ride. And to be honest with you, there's not that much of a learning curve if you're familiar with riding a bike or an electric bike. It's easy to forget that you're riding something that looks like this, where the two wheels are super close together. It's actually a lot more intuitive than I would have thought. Now on hills, I will say this leaves some to be desired. This is a gentle hill, and I can tell the motor, it's already down at around 11 miles per hour. And there's a bigger hill coming up, so I'm going to be curious to see if it's able to overcome the hill. But with the 36 volt system, there's just not a whole lot you can expect, especially given this is a 300 watt motor. So if you're looking at purchasing this, hopefully you live in a very flat area. This is unquestionably geared towards those who live in a more urban, flat environment. All right, let's see if I can climb this hill. Oh, of course, it helped that I was at speed, but 7 miles an hour. And anything steeper than kind of a gentle hill like that is going to be a significant challenge. Though the pony is lightweight, so I guess you can walk it up a hill if you really wanted to. And we're getting a little bit of speed there. And for sure, I feel the motor cutting off. So they have the top speed set at that 16 miles an hour. All right, so I wanted to give an example of a hill that it can't make it up. And while we're here, it is a beautiful day in Wisconsin. Ice is just leaving the lake here in early April and already boaters out, as you can see. All right, I'm gonna try to carry some speed as I turn around here. And I don't think it's gonna make it up this hill. Maybe if I had it all the way up to speed. We got to about 11 there. And I think it's just going to not quite make it. And again, the GoPro makes the hill look a little smaller than it is. And yeah, that's it. You'd have to walk up the rest. All right, let's get into some third-person riding footage so you can finally see what it looks like, me riding this bike. Let me know in the comment section below of what you think. All right, let's get to it. I know what you're thinking, Ryan, you look absurd, but hear me out on this one. I too once felt that electric vehicles like this one were simply toys and a waste of money. That was until I traveled to a few bigger cities. And these are way more common than you would think. And it's not kids riding them either. These were people using them as last mile electric vehicles, and the pony fits that use case pretty darn well. It's lightweight and portable, can fit in a vehicle, train, or perhaps even on a bus. Because of its small size, you can even bring it into your workplace, house, or apartment for safekeeping. It's certainly economical as well at $500 or $600. The 360 watt-hour battery with the longer range version, in my opinion, is the one to buy. It's double the capacity for just $100 more. And when you think about it, that's actually not that bad. You're at about half the capacity of the average size 48 volt 14 amp hour battery that we see on lots of e-bikes that are double the price and, not surprisingly, double the weight. Himiway states a range of 10 or 20 miles depending on whether you choose the 5 amp hour or the 10 amp hour version, though you'll likely want your trips to fall comfortably below that because, yeah, no pedals. Speaking of no pedals, I imagine this falls more into regulations of an electric scooter, which I'm less versed on, so be sure to check your state and local laws on where this can be ridden. I would have loved to see the pony be a 48 volt system with a bit more zippiness, but it's hard to knock them too much given the price you pay, though some more hill climbing capability would allow it to be an option for more riders. Spec-wise, it stacks up pretty nicely to its competitors depending on your needs. I love the larger wheels, which are certainly more capable than the alternative of going with super small wheels that some manufacturers opt for. Again, it feels more like you're riding something much larger than you actually are. For commuters, it would have been nice to see some integrated lights and fenders. I'd recommend buying some aftermarket if you plan to ride in all conditions. And some sort of kickstand would have been nice too. If you're not a commuter and you just want to have a fun neighborhood personal electric vehicle, the pony fits the bill too. It just attracts people wanting to try it. Both my wife, dad, and my brother all had to take it for a spin, and I think it should be no surprise. Smiles all around. If you think you're up for a ride on a pony or any of the other e-bikes we feature on the channel, please do me a quick favor and use our links down in the description below before you make your purchase. And if you do decide to buy one, don't worry, if I see you riding, I won't judge, and neither should anyone else. This thing is way more fun than a car, and your wallet will thank you too. Let me know what you think of the Himiway pony down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.